What are some green flags in translators? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. It's time for season 5. Thanks so much for still being here. I hope you had a good summer. I really completely switched off from YouTube, so I'm quite late actually for this first video. I thought I would prepare a bit beforehand. I was still working because my holidays this year were earlier in June, so July, August I'm working fully. Which is cool. I still had time to travel, take some days off, visit the family, doing a lot of activities outside with family and friends. So it's definitely important to, take some time off things that you do regularly and reflect a bit. Like, we are so conditioned to always perform, to always work, etc. But play and joy are so important. So you definitely shouldn't neglect that. I hope you didn't this summer or winter, wherever you're watching from. I'm ready for a new season. I have a whole list, I have it here in front of me. Actually, I should probably take the script of today's video and not the planning of the Freelanceverse. But it's also interesting to let you guys know that I have planned videos until October already. So I feel full of energy again and motivated to give you as much information, entertainment, motivation, whatever you're looking for on this channel that I can give you. So today's video, I thought I'm gonna put a twist on one of my classic videos that garnered a lot of views by now. It was 10 red flags in a translator, and the topic of this season is kind of positive vibes, I guess. I feel like our industry needs some positivity, so instead of red flags, I'm looking at green flags today. What are the 10 green flags in translators? If you are watching this and you want to hire a translator, you're looking for maybe a freelancer or an agency that can work with you, this video is for you. Green flag number 1, and very easily checkable as well online, is a clear and transparent online persona. So if you're looking for a translator for your next marketing campaign, your website, your flyers, your documentation, etc., how would you go about that? You probably go either directly to a translation agency, or you're looking online for a freelancer, maybe on LinkedIn, maybe on a platform like Probst. If you're a bit more immersed into this industry, you would know these platforms. And if you do that, how can you look out for a good translator? It's very hard, right, if you've never worked with them. And clear and transparent online persona is definitely a very important part for me personally, because I'm sometimes also looking for translators to collaborate with, not only to make videos, but also for actual jobs. And if I look up a name, I definitely want to see a clearly built and a well-designed and well-formulated profile on platforms like LinkedIn and Probst, etc. And I want to find a nice website. Even though websites for translators are not really, for some they are, if they're really populated with blogs or with always updated information, clients can find them through websites. But for most of us, that's not how clients find you. But even still, if they have your name, it's important that they can go to a website that gives you more social proof, right? So you should still have a well-formulated one. Be careful with, I had my website translated into English by an English translator, and recently a colleague contacted me and said, just a heads up, your translation on your website is not good enough, right? So be careful with who you're working with. I made this back in the day. It's definitely time for an update for my website. So it was a good, a good kicker to get this going, and it's actually now in the works. So hopefully this will be soon fixed. So make sure your whole online persona is on point. And if you're using social media privately, make sure there's some kind of barrier between your work and your private life, unless you really want to connect that into like an online persona per se, like a combined persona. But for me, I'm not using any online social media privately, so for me it's not an issue. But I can definitely see, if your name is linked to a business and you're also sharing your opinion on an opinion board that is not professional, be careful with that. Just keep it in mind. A second green flag in translators is a clear and defined specialization. That goes without saying. In all communication, the translator should make it clear in what niche they are working on. in. And if they are a generalist, don't feel embarrassed, but own it, right? Say why you are the best generalist in the game. But if you have a specialization, try to really niche it down. And preferably this translator's whole online persona is about this specialization. So you can really tell that this translator is a subject expert. A third green flag is flawless communication skills. That just goes without saying. Language is our business, it's our tool. So if you're reaching out to a translator, he or she needs to speak and write flawlessly in the languages that they offer. And that goes, it's not only about grammar, about spelling, it's also about word order, about how to address a person in a different country, right? You can't, if you are from Turkey, you're probably addressing someone differently if you're talking to someone in Thailand, right? So if you offer this source or target, you need to be aware. Now I'm speaking again directly to the translators. It's a bit of a mix, this video. But if you are a translator and you're addressing someone outside of your country, you need to be aware how to address them properly, how to greet them, how to say goodbye to them in emails. This is all part of your business, so you need to be flawless in that. A translator's communication should be appropriate, authentic, transparent, and professional, definitely. Another green flag is if a translator is reliable and available. Now with available, I don't mean that they should be always at your disposal at any point in the day and, do it immediately if you ask them, I need the translation back in an hour. That's not at all. Actually, that will be a red flag because then the translator has no work and that's not a good sign, right? A green flag in availability is, for me, with that, I mean someone who proactively informs you about their availability. So they will inform you if they have days off, if they are absent, if they are on holidays, if they have a large project and can't help you out next week, they will proactively help you. And if you ask them for a job, they will not only say no if they don't have time or yes and not keep the deadline, but they will reliably tell you, hey, I can do this, I will gladly do it, but I can't do it until Thursday. I will deliver on Monday. Is that okay? And if they can't, they even offer a solution like with a colleague of them, a trusted colleague, for example. That adds another reliability and availability factor. So in an ideal world, a translator is available when they are needed and reliable when they are trusted. Green flag number 5, I think, transparency in using of tools. That's very important, especially nowadays with AI tools. It's very important that the translator is transparent with you. I'm always fully transparent in what I do, what workflow I use. Like recently, just someone asked me to do a proofreading of a text, or an editing, sorry, it was an editing, so one step higher than proofreading. And I looked at it and I realized very quickly that this was a transcreation needed because the source text really played with the context, like they used puns and stuff of that specific context. And then the translation looked very literal and not even good literal translation, so it was really a bad one. I was even suspecting a bit that there might have been MT usage because it was just, it was like either someone was very bad or did a sloppy job basically. And I told my PM, this was through an agency, I told her, look, I can do an editing of that, but it will not be suitable for delivery because I don't have the time to edit that up to the standards. Otherwise I'm losing money on this job. What I can offer you is I'm reworking it, I do a transcreation of the whole job, and then at least at the same time I also do an editing of what has been done. That will cost you more, of course, but at least the client will be happy or happier in a way. And then they asked me, okay, can you tell us like at least a few segments that didn't go well? And I said, okay, like segment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they all need to be reworded. Then they believed me and I reworded the whole thing, and it was with track changes, so all was red. And so if you show this transparency, it also goes the other way, right? If they ask you to do a transcreation and it's not needed, then I'm also very transparent. I'm saying, okay, you don't need to transcreation, that's very literal. We can even do MT if you want, right? And if you're transparent and the clients trust you, back to the client's perspective, if you're looking for a translator and they're transparent in what they will use, they're proactively telling you what is needed in which situation, you can trust them more. Green flag number 6 is when a translator is continuously learning. A translator should never stop learning, because if you're specialized, then not only the language needs to improve, but also the subject matter, right? So you always have 2 levels of improving to do. Your language hopefully improves by just continuously working anyways, and maybe how do you say that? Like immerse yourself in the target or the source country that you're working with, and then also go to conferences, read specialized journals that you're specialized in, etc. So that's definitely a green flag if a translator never stops learning. Another very important point is credibility. Now, credibility it's hard to prove sometimes, but you kind of have to prove, even if you're not outgoing, if you're not very extrovert, etc. You have to find a way that you can show social proof, right? Either through years of experience, through a large portfolio, through an association. The translator needs to show that he or she is well known in the industry or in a specialization. Being part of an association is a huge social proof. So if they have that kind of, maybe it's on their website, or maybe you find them through a register of an association, that already gives social proof, because you can't enter an association without providing proof that you are capable to, right? Coming towards the end, I think we're at number 8. I wrote business-minded. That's sometimes a bit hard for you to realize, but if you found them, let's say, if you find a freelancer out of 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 that there are, it's most likely that they are already business-minded, right? Otherwise, it's hard that you would find them. So they have to find little tricks how they can rank higher on LinkedIn, etc. How can they use their marketing power to reach new customers? So this one, if you find a translator, it's most likely that they're already good in it. If translators are just leaning back and trying to wait for customers to come to them, that doesn't work. In some form of active or passive marketing, they have to do. So if you find them, they're probably this green flag is probably checked. Number 9, quality assurance. And in brackets, I wrote questions, because questions is probably the most easy parameter to check whether they have good quality assurance. If a translator asks you questions during the process prior to deadline, that's a great sign, right? And it shouldn't, like, sometimes clients question, like, why do you ask so many questions? But that shouldn't make you question anything, right? It's a very good point, because it means the translator is not assuming anything without the necessary knowledge. Another way, if the deadline is super tight, you can leave comments and say, like, ask the question in the text and then deliver it, so the client still have an opportunity to adjust based on your comments. But ideally, you do the translation early enough so you can you can send a fully nicely formatted Excel sheet with questions to the client. They answer it, and you can implement the answer still in your translation. That's quality assurance. That's a great sign. So definitely look out for that. If someone doesn't ask any question, especially if you work with them the first time, that can be shaky. There is a lot of assumption going on. And number 10 of green flags in translators, reasonable and transparent pricing. This translator charges rates that guarantee a good living. That the rates are transparent, the prices are transparent, and also the invested time. You do not want to work with a translator that charges peanuts. Of course, that's biased coming from me, because I'm always advocating for a fair and reasonable price of translators. But just imagine, would you rather have someone like slaving away, excuse my language, but for your marketing campaign, no time to breathe, no time to like enjoy life, just having to work factory work, it's much more prone to errors, right? If someone has the freedom to actually indulge themselves into the topic, into the text, that gives them so much more creative availability, creative thoughts, and your translation will be much, much better. But of course, the translator needs to be transparent in pricing. So when I'm doing an offer, I'm clearly saying what I will do, what will take which time, if I charge by the hour, right? If I offer, just recently I offered a quote, and I said it's going to take me roughly 7 hours of work. Here is the breakdown: 2 hours of this, 3 hours of this, 1 hour of this. And then I give my hourly rate. I calculate the full price, and I say plus minus 10. Like yesterday I said plus minus 15%. So the client knows that, okay, it's going to cost me this amount plus 15 minus 15%. So it's going to be somewhere in there, because as a professional translator, unfortunately, you cannot unforesee any situations that could come up, right? If I have to ask a question and then I have to wait for half a day for the answers, of course, I'm not actively working on that job, but I am interrupting my work. So I also need to be you need to be careful with how much time you can invest. And so plus minus 10%, plus minus 15% of your offered quote price is a fair leeway to give to your clients so they know what to expect. There you go. I was flip-flopping a bit between the perspective of talking to a client and talking to a translator, but that's simply because it's interesting for both sides, right? If you are looking for one or if you are one, these are the 10 things you want to portray, you want to represent. If we want fair and good working environments for translators, we need both the clients and the workers to collaborate together to come to a great conclusion and a great product, right? Doesn't help if one side is underselling themselves or if the other side is underpaying them. In the end, that doesn't help anyone, right? Because the qualified translators don't get work and the clients don't get qualified work, if you know what I mean. So let's work together on that. Thanks so much for being here. I'm looking forward to sharing season 5 with all of you. It's going to be exciting. I have some very, very interesting people coming on the channel. And I see you next Monday with already the first guest. So take care. See you then. Bye-bye.